All right, we have the return of Miller Lite Carb Day coming up on May the 27th out at IMS. Can't wait for it. 2 years without Carb Day, and it's coming back big time. And the lead for the concert is a band that we're getting to know a great deal of, and you're going to know our next guest here, certainly, because he put it all together. It's called Kings of Chaos. It is a rock band that sometimes is the same, sometimes is a little bit different. And Matt Sorum, the drummer, GNR, Velvet Revolver, so many others, including one of the best album tours of all time, Sonic Temple of the Cult. Matt joins us now. Hello, Matt. How you doing, man?
Wow, the best tour of all time, Sonic Temple.
Dude, let me tell you, that's one of the best rock freaking albums ever, brother. I mean, seriously. Of the decade of the 80s, let's say. I know it was 1989, but that always stands out to me. It's, like Appetite, for example, in the 80s. Yeah. One of those rock albums that you always love.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that. I mean, that was for me, in the late 80s, I thought I was fine. I was in this band called The Cult. We had a tour bus and there was catering backstage, and we were playing arenas, and we were at the top of the game, and then along came these Guns N' Roses guys and stole me from them.
Hey, let me tell you, when Slash comes calling, brother, you got to go. All right. You got to go. But here's the thing about The Cult is I talked to Bill. This was, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago. And I didn't know this. I think this was a precursor to you, but they actually shot a video. I think they shot a video here in the state of Indiana while they were on tour at the time, at some point back in around 86, maybe. I may have.
Might be out the Electric album.
But yeah, there's some awesome connections going on here, to say the least.
Cool. Yeah, man. Well, I've been down that way many, many times and always have fun down your way.
Hey, Kings of Chaos, it's your idea. This is your brainchild. And I was kind of curious, being a part of Velvet Revolver, for example, was this the kind of the idea? Is that where it did spring from? Because I love when you get these great musicians like you guys and you all come together for an events like that. I think about, Asia back in the 80s, for example, when, all those guys came together, just great musicians, great artists. Where did this all come from as far as this idea for you to get Kings of Chaos and put this group together?
Well, I've been in so many bands, and a lot of people don't realize it's a lot more than just fun and games jumping up on stage. It's a lot to do. It's a big machine, and, there's a lot of politics and business. And Kings of Chaos for me was sort of the antithesis of that. It was more of let's go back to my roots. Let's just have fun. It doesn't have to be about, making a big deal out of every tour. So we go out there and we just have a good time. Basically, it's my bucket list. I've called everybody. I've gotten Steven Tyler. I've gotten Robin Zander, Billy Gibbons. I've had Joe Elliott on stage, Gene Simmons. I just played with Alice Cooper and Billy Idol in Las Vegas for a private show. It was a private thing, but it's my bucket list, man. And I've called Mick Jagger. I got no answer, but I called. I've called Robert Plant, Jeff Beck, and I will someday get those guys on stage, because for me, it's why not call? You're going to get 1 or 2 answers. It's going to be no, or no, and then maybe yes. The greatest call I ever made was I called Keith Richards' manager, Jane Rose. And I'm really good friends with Bernard Fowler. He's been in the Stones for 30 years now, one of the background singers. He goes, I think Keith wants to jam. He's really bored, and the Stones weren't out playing. And I go, really? Okay, give me his manager's. And so I call her. She says, who is this? And I finally get through because I have to drop some names, right? And she goes, I say, I hear Keith wants to play. And she says, you might have already heard of his band. They're called the Rolling Stones. And she hung up on me.
Hey, man, you got through, though. You know? If you would have
said yes. I mean, who knows? It was
that's close. Like Bud Fox getting to Gecko, Matt, right there. Man. That's
so, all these guys that come out, I make the calls. I have a great manager, but we work together, and all my relationships over the years have created this great Rolodex of friends and guys that I love and I admire. Like there's a guy that I'm going to play with at this event, John Waite, who's one of my favorite singers of all time. And I was a huge Babies fan. So I'm a fan, right? And then I've never had a opportunity to play with Jack Blades yet. I had a baby last year, so Kenny Aronoff replaced me in my band, Kings of Chaos, and been playing with Jack. We did about 3 or 4 shows in and around the pandemic, and so I'm going to get to play with Jack. And I've never played with Lita Ford, and many times with Sebastian Bach. I mean, come on. Back in the day, it was Guns N' Roses and Skip Rope. I mean, that was Skid Row.
I think about this. Matt Sorum joins us. He put together Kings of Chaos, May the 27th. That's out at Miller Lite Carb Day at IMS. You had mentioned too that, you know, these long lists of folks that if you talk to that have been a part of this project of yours, enjoy it because it's out of the realm of BS of what a lot of the normal music industry and the business is. Have you found that most of these guys feel kind of the same as you do? You know, you're getting away from the BS and you're just having fun doing music again.
Well, you know, I take care of all the BS and I don't let them hear about it because typically when you're in a band, everyone's included in the BS. So what I want from my guys is for them to come out, guys and girls, Lita Ford, we had Ann Wilson a couple gigs ago. So Queens of Noise, Queens of Chaos, Kings of Chaos. So I want them to have the best time so they come back again. So I want no drama, you know, whatever they need on the rider, hotel, everything. So everyone's happy. And I think we're all fans of each other's music. So we all want to do our best for each other. So it's almost like it's a little bit of a lift. It's like, hey man, I better play this right because I got the real guy right here, you know? But there's been times where, like, for instance, when I went and played with Alice Cooper, the band sounded so good, Alice turned around and said, this sounds like the record. I go, well, that's the one we learned, you know, like $1 Billion Babies, you don't want to screw that up, you know what I mean? So we go back and it's good for us as musicians to remember where we came from and to keep our chops up, you know? So it's good for us to learn all those great songs and play this music properly. So.
Yeah, you mentioned drama too. I'm assuming in the new music business, especially with what you've been involved with, you're probably ready never to have to deal with a lot of that drama ever again. And this just sounds to me
well,
like
I'm a little bit older, you know, and a little bit wiser. But
we don't like to deal with the same BS that we dealt with, do we, in the 20s, 30s, do we? I agree with you on that. So I was talking to Sean McNabb yesterday, or I should say the day before yesterday, Sean McNabb, who's been in Quiet Riot and in Dawkins in Great White as well. He's going to be a part of this project out at Noah Light Carb Day. And we had a lot of, similar, he's from Bloomington, Indiana. I'm from around Bloomington, Indiana, and we talked about that. But this is his debut effort is with you guys at Carb Day. How do you pick and choose, bring folks in? Maybe some don't take part. How does that go down, decision-making as far as who you're going to have on stage with you at a given show?
You know, it all depends on what the buyer and the person that's pointing on the show. I learned this from Gene Simmons. Give the people what they want, right? He's like, play the hits. And so when I worked with the promoters over in Indy there, they were like, look, let's do this kind of a thing. And we just started collaborating on what the lineup was going to look like. And I'm a worker, man. I've been a drummer my whole life and somehow I've survived. I own my own house and I have a car that's paid for, you know? So it's like, if I can do that, I'm successful. So as a drummer playing in rock and roll bands, you know, I've learned to navigate a lot of stuff. So my work ethic is like, let's get this done. Let's make everybody happy. And we came up with this lineup and everybody's into it, right? So we're really excited. And next week we're going to go rehearse. I go into LA. I live in Palm Springs now. I'm going to drive in. And Sean came along based on, we were working with James Lomenzo and he ended up going back to Megadeth.
Yeah.
So James was my bass player. And then there's certain gigs that someone will say, hey, what about Stone Temple Pilots? So when I play with Alice Cooper, I have the DeLeo brothers from Stone Temple Pilots. I've used Billy Duffy from the Cult, my old bandmate. But now I go, Billy, this is my band. I'm your boss. No, it's not like that. And Steve Stevens is on our, thing all the time. But this particular lineup, Warren DeMartini, in my opinion, one of the great guitarists from that particular era, fits perfectly for this lineup, right? So, and Gilby Clarke from my band, Gilby, and these guys, 2 months ago, I put the set list together and this is what we're playing. And Warren's like, okay, I'm working on it. And he's been playing along to the music because there's a bunch of stuff he hasn't played before. So it's good exercise. And then we're going to go in and play together, get it tight, jump up on stage with the singers and get it done, So I'm really excited.
So Matt Sorum created Kings of Chaos, the former drummer of Guns N' Roses, The Cult, Velvet Revolver. We've been talking about that. It's funny. I host an afternoon sports show here in Indianapolis, 3 until 6, Monday through Friday. And I found this out a long time ago. Normally, when you have a rock show that's coming to town, you're kind of the rock show or the promoters are working with, the radio station that plays the music. But what's great about sports talk is that we don't have those boundaries. Like sports fans love music and they may love different genres of music, and especially Kings of Chaos and who you're bringing on board. It's perfect for sports fans. It's perfect for IMS, and it's absolutely perfect for Carb Day. And it's funny. I don't think some ever thought that sports and the music thing meshed as well as it has, especially radio station wise. But man, here it has been.
Well, I mean,
they love you guys, man. They really do.
I remember when I did the song "You Could Be Mine," right?
Yeah.
And it had that big opening drum fill, and I was like, cool and everything, but I was like, oh, that's a good song. Thank you. It was on the Terminator. But you know what did it for me? I turned on Sunday Night Football highlights, and the guy I can't remember who it was, not Tom Brady, but it's before Tom, but guy's going for a long bomb, and then on Sunday Football highlights, I was like, yeah, right. So I'm like, I've arrived. I'm on Sunday Football highlights.
That is one of the best drum lead ups. And I love the song "You Could Be Mine" because it's got such a lengthy ramp. And it to me, it was perfect for that song. It will fire you up to do anything. If you're lifting weight, if you're working out, if you're mowing the yard, you have to be fired up by that song, and especially the start with your drums.
Thank you. Well, if you know from sports anthems, right? Okay, "We Will Rock You," Queen, "Paradise City," "Welcome to the Jungle." I mean, I remember the Kings. They were like, Luke Robitaille was like, before I go out on the ice every day, I listen to the Jungle, man. I listen to the Jungle. I got my headphones and I get pumped for the game, right? And there's so many athletes that I meet the same way. They'll say, look, I need to get my adrenaline up. So I'm listening to certain kind of music. Some guys listen to metal. Some guys listen to like rap. But whatever it is, there's always music interspersed with sports, right?
Yes.
And there was a time between the Cult and Guns N' Roses when I was doing soundtrack work, doing movies and film. And I did a ton of stuff for the X Games for ESPN.
Yeah.
Right? And I did a ton of music. And I was so keyed in to what was happening in the sports world with the music as an emotional sort of lift.
Yeah.
There's like a skateboarder in X Games going like, it's like, okay, this is going to be high energy. And that was a lot of fun, and meshing the two, like the mashup of sports and the energy of that. So I get it.
You're trying to find you mentioned the energy. You're trying to find that energy, and that has to be incredibly gratifying when like "You Could Be Mine," when you found that, and really it can't get any better than that when you got it and you hit it.
Well, like I just did Billy Gibbons' new record, came out last summer, right? And talk about cars, right?
Yeah.
Every video we made had a killer car in it. We had an El Camino, hot rod. Yeah. And I got a new song that I'm working on. It's like, this is a car song. This is about cars, and like, I mean, come on, I don't drive 55. And then there's a great Queen song, I'm in love with my car. I mean, car songs have been throughout history as well. And driving music, we call it driving rock and roll. Like
Right.
when you put on rock and roll and you're in your car and you're in a certain mood, you're like, I'm driving, like, and you put on Van Halen, Hot for Teacher, or like Running with the Devil or whatever it is. And it's just like, makes your whole driving experience so much cooler, right? Or you're driving up Coast Highway and you're in your convertible and you turn on, I don't know, something chill, like, I don't know, Joni Mitchell, right?
Exactly.
You're like, oh yeah. So
sometimes you need it. Sometimes you need that. Like Brownstone, Mr. Brownstone does that for me. As far as getting in the car and you want to crank something up, man, that's, that kind of gets you fired up. Yeah, you're right. I mean, you kind of, it's a soundtrack. It's a soundtrack of when you're driving, especially when you're going to kind of amp it up a little bit. You want a little bit of energy out of what you're doing. You're on your way to somewhere or whatever. That's what you're looking for.
Nice.
So
I'm excited. Like, I've done, I did Long Beach Grand Prix with the late Chester Bennington, Billy Idol. And I was near the race, but I've never done the Indy. So
what year was that, Matt? The Long Beach race?
I gotta say it was 2015 or
I think I remember when that was out there. Did you get close to the Indy cars while at Long Beach at all? Did you get in one at all?
No, they wanted to put me in one of those celebrity Toyota things. I'm like, no, I want the real thing.
Well,
on Saturday, I'm doing the flag though. You know that for the trials, and then I'm going to get in a 2-seater, go around the track.
Well, that's awesome. The 2-seater.
Come out and see me wave the flag.
I want to see you get in the 2-seater with Mario Andretti, man. It is a signature life moment for you, brother.
If I could just meet Mario Andretti, that would be like legendary. That's so cool.
It is a signature moment. So are you staying for the race all week?
Yeah, I am.
Man, well, see, I knew Sean said he was too, and we got to come and hang out at some. I'm doing a pre-race show on Sunday morning in Pagoda Plaza out there, man. You guys got to come and hang out with us for a little bit and talk some racing. It is an event. It's tough to explain, Matt. It's an event though that gives you chills in so many different areas, from the flyover to the national anthem to back home again in Indiana. The first time you see them go around the track, if you've never seen that before, it's so startling. But it'll leave you wanting more, I promise.
That's great, man. I just love being able to, it'll be bucket list stuff again, right? The Indy 500, I did it,
Well, and your crowd on Carb Day, brother, because we haven't had this thing in 2 years. And let me tell you, it is a drinking party out there, which is awesome. And you have people that have been wanting this for 2 years.
Yeah. How's the weather?
Incredible. The weather's been great. I mean, today it's a little rainy, but it's been mid-upper 80s. It's going to be mid-upper 80s tomorrow. I don't know if I long-term it yet to see what it's going to be like on Carb Day Friday or that weekend. But
nice weather.
Yeah, it's been great so far, but you'll love it. I mean, this crowd will love you guys. And you mentioned Gene Simmons in closing here, said, hey, just go out there and play the hits. That's it.
Yeah.
That is it. And you guys have so many. You mentioned Jack, with Night Ranger. You mentioned, John has so many with the babies. You got Bad English. He's got his own stuff as well.
Yeah.
Lita, obviously. I don't know if you do any runaways with Lita, but just kind of wondering here a little bit.
What I ask, I want to play what I want to play. I go, we're doing that. Because, I was involved with Cherie Curry as well.
Yeah.
I made her solo record that she hadn't made since she quit the Runaways when she was 17.
Right.
And then she became a chainsaw artist, and I talked her into playing again, and we did this album. She still got the voice and she still looks great. And we ended up going out and opening for Joan Jett. And I was a real fan of hers from the beginning. And so, I have that bit of an insight on the Runaways vibe. And so we're going to do that with Lita. Yeah.
Well, it's going to be great. And I've had Jack on a couple of different times on my show, and there's no better dude out there in the world.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
You guys are going to be great. I can't wait. Now, hey, make sure that you and Sean and everybody come over and see us, whether we'll hopefully get you on during Carb Day, but at some point on Sunday morning before the race, right there in Pagoda Plaza, make sure you come over and see us, and we'll chat it up a little bit on the radio pre-race show. Okay.
Let's do it. Do it. We'll be in touch. Thanks, man.
Great. Thanks for talking. Thanks for coming on here. And I can't wait until Friday, Miller Lite Carb Day. It's going to be great. Thanks, Matt.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. Bye.
Thank you, buddy. There it is. That's Matt Sorum right there. He created Kings of Chaos. The return of Miller Lite Carb Day is coming at you May the 27th. Tickets are on sale now. Thanks, Matt.